Hey, everybody. This is Maxine Taylor, and I am so thrilled to introduce to you one more time a dear friend to so many of us around the world. I'm talking about this handsome guy on the screen with me, Dr. Richard Bartlett. Now, so many of us know him through matrix energetics. And we know that he is a chiropractor as well as a naturopath, but it is because of the remarkable work he did in bringing through matrix energetics that has transformed the lives of thousands all over this planet that we know him. But that's not even why I'm interviewing him today. Richard is here because of this incredible new system that he has to share with us. It is called, and I'm going to read it so I don't mess it up, Holo-Synchronous Energetic Technology Systems. He's doing a seminar here in Atlanta, by the way, where I live, May 14th through 16th. But if you will go to the Matrix Energetics website, matrixenergetics.com, you'll see a list of all of the places where he will be presenting Matrix Energetics and what he abbreviates as Holo-Sets. And I can't wait to hear about it. Some of you have already taken this. I know you are glued to the screen. I'm going to stop talking and welcome Richard Bartlett. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Well, it's funny, the name just in itself, Holo-Synchronous Energetic Technology Systems, I have to look at it to be able to pronounce it. My CFO called me up one morning, I was sound asleep, and says, Richard, we need a name right now for this seminar you're going to teach. And I heard the words Holo-Synchronous Energetic Technology Systems. I told her that over the phone. I said, that's a mouthful, but that's what I hear. So we went with it. So this technology, and it is a consciousness technology, was developed originally in around 1991 when I was in a spiritual community with my teacher, Elizabeth Clare Prophet. Many of you know about her, know of my association with her. I wound up being her doctor for 8 years and her friend and confidant. And this work was developed to a large degree on her, as well as many other people around the world. So she basically presented herself as a laboratory. She used to tell me, she said, Richard, my body is a laboratory for you and for the world. Learn everything you can. So I have to tell you, when you're working on a real, quote, spiritual guru, A, it's very complicated, and B, it is grace-inducing. So I look at this work that I'm teaching, called Holo-Synchronous Energetic Technology Systems, as a resonance with grace. The system itself can appear complicated. It's very unlike matrix energetics, except for back when I originally taught it, it was like a muscle testing system, and it was designed to find energetic patterns and to correct them to realign functional physiology. Now, when I say functional physiology, as a doctor, what I'm talking about is that the actual physiology that we're taught in schools is not correct. I know it's not correct because you can do almost any darn thing and the body will heal. The so-called functional and biochemical loops the pharmaceutical industry promotes and is promoted in medical school, they do not actually exist. They're boxes. They're idea sets that are designed to reduce everything to a mechanical equation where it can be understood, intervened upon with a so-called magic bullet, single bullet, single cure sort of idea. Well, the problem is the body is an open living system. And in fact, it's not even a body at all. It's a body of knowledge, or it's like Melissa Johnson and I like to say, light, information, and resonance. So when you start to look at it that way, you begin to understand that everything the body does, quote the body, it does for a reason. It does because of the information that's either being taken in or being exchanged with the internal and external environment. Now that includes your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, your relationships, your, quote, programming, the big one for me, your programming, religious, cultural, scientific, TV, movies, everything, which make up how you, in a new knee-jerk sort of stimulus response pattern, will respond to stress. Now, the interesting thing is we're not robots and we're not machines and we're not the way we're being treated. What we are is spirit. We are spirit. We are indivisible, undivided, and one. And from that one spirit, when we start to get back to that, well, it's like climbing a ladder. You have to climb it step by step, or climbing a spiral staircase, if you wish. And at each level, there's a new level of possibility. So when you're in the animal, robot, machine-fed, machine-generated reality subset, your responses are very predictable. And you can engender certain specific emotions, you can engender certain thoughts and beliefs and behavioral patterns, elections, spiritual religion, even so-called New Age spirituality. All of this is all kind of a trap for the mind to keep it in its own box so that you don't become an individual. The thing is that there is a higher frequency that you can access in your own being that is unique to you. It's like playing an individual note that sounds a resonance that wakes you up and begins to bring you into a coherence with who and what you really are. So back when I developed this work, I developed it from my understanding of things like total body modification, TBM, as I like to pull in Dr. Viktor Frankl's voice. Some of you may know, I have a son that was born with bronchitis, asthma, allergies, got pneumonia every third week of his life. And in my third year of chiropractic school, after trying pretty much everything that I could get my hands on, I went to a 4-day seminar with Dr. Viktor Frank of total body modification, came back, applied what he taught, and in 30 minutes or less, my son was well. This got my attention. This was your attention. So I learned TBM, and at one point, and Dr. Frank is no longer in this physical realm, but at one point, Dr. Frank admitted that I was one of the 3 best TBM doctors in the world. So I do have the pedigree to talk about these things. When I developed this work, what happened is I started asking questions. And when you ask questions, new information can come through. If you don't ask questions, you never get any new answers. And the questions are not, the classic questions of, well, why can't I do this? Why do I suck? Why do things have to be this way? All that. Not those kind of open-ended questions, because they close the door on possible. The questions are more like, what in the world just happened here? What am I supposed to learn from this? And what do I do next? Right? Those open-ended sorts of things. Yeah. And those open-ended things, I think, are like a quantum prayer, what Greg Braden called quantum prayer. Because the way we are taught in medical school, and having been twice, I can definitely comment on this, we're taught that there are predictable responses to drugs, this, that, and the other thing. Now, I can tell you just from Bastyr University how untrue this is, because herbs and plant essences and all of these things, they have a vibration, they have a life, they have a vitality and awareness. Well, what some of the more scientific approaches in naturopathic medicine tried to do was create standardized plant extracts. So they would analyze chemically the composition of the makeup of the plant, determine its active ingredient, and then synthesize the active ingredient. Basically, just one step removed from mechanized pharmacological approaches. Right. But it made sense, and it was scientific, and the FDA could approve this because it was, almost like a drug. And by the way, in my state of confusion, I can prescribe. So, as a naturopathic physician, I'm a full-fledged physician and primary care portal. God help all of you. I used to have students. I used to have naturopathic students who would come to watch me work, and they would melt down the walls or wind up giggling in a pool on the carpet, and because things did not work the way they were being taught in school. I found this out because of my son. If my son had not had the problems he had, I never would have questioned the status quo, probably, or not to that degree. And although I did My first chiropractor was clairvoyant, my only chiropractor. He was clairvoyant. He could look into the body, see stuff, turn on the light in the body by just snapping his fingers and kind of making an invocation. Light, you see that, Richard? I went, no, I don't see that, Dr. Rowe. Dr. Jacques Rowe, he's probably in his 80s or something. He's still teaching. He's still actually treating people in Oklahoma City. But I went to school thinking that was chiropractic. And by the time I went to naturopathic school, I was already a doctor, so I wasn't impressed the second time through when they tried to spoon feed me. In fact, in nutrition class, I did a no-no. I sat there, and you're supposed to be learning about organic and holistic nutrition. I sat there eating a Big Mac with my feet propped up on the table because I, I mean, A, I was hungry, and B, I'm a carnivore, and right, and so which is all North American people are basically carnivores.
Sure.
And it's okay, you can be a vegetarian for a time, and some people are more adapted if they have Asian blood or something like that. They can be a vegetarian. This is something Dr. Frank taught about how we need the protein, because the protein allows for protein synthesis through the amino acids, which also provide our amino glycosides. It basically keeps us healthy, keeps our immune system healthy, keeps our blood sugar balanced. And that's what he said. If the blood sugar is balanced and your system is not reactive in a reactive mode, then basically any disease can not be conquered. I don't like that epic struggle of something against something else. But basically any disease can be negotiated with because it's just a pattern of information. The problem is people will go up against something and try and change it with something else. And that's that whole idea of getting back to the idea of standard extracts. The standard extract did not work like they thought it would, because guess what? There's a life force involved in the plants, and that life force is the informational patterns that actually create the totality of the effects that you see with these wonderful natural medicines. It's the same thing with synthesizing. Well, I was shown in chiropractic school, if you synthesize vitamin C and you look at it under a spectrographic analysis, it's black. The crystal, it's black. And if you look at vitamin C that comes from a natural plant source, it's a rainbow. Black or rainbow, you decide, right? So knowing these things and starting to ask questions, what happened is I looked at the areas where what I thought should happen didn't. And then I would ask myself something another one of my teachers taught me, Dr. Milton T. Warner, why is that? Now that's, again, if you paid attention, that's an open-ended question again. It doesn't imply an answer. It doesn't even imply a knowledge about what the answer should be. There's no shoulds or coulds or maybes there. There's just, I don't know. And so working like I was doing, I moved into I don't know all the time. It became my preferred access. That's why matrix energetics came through. If you assume you may not know something, you can actually learn something. If you think you know, then the learning is over and you're in a box. And people will go from technique to technique trying to find the thing that works. Nothing works. Nothing works and everything works. The question is, are you in resonance with this as a pattern of information that can be transferred then and create a coherent effect in someone's field? So this understanding got grafted onto what I taught back then. Here's the big pink. I like to call this the Mary Kay phone book, but it's a big old manual, and this is what you get in the seminar. But anyway, Master Energy Dynamics, that's originally what this work was called way back when, because even then I liked jokes. So it was MED or med, so we had med school, we had med club, and so on and so forth instead of club med. That was in a group of doctors that we were teaching. It was originally taught to chiropractors and medical doctors, hard-headed bunch. It now can be taught to anyone. It is easy to learn. The real benefit of learning it is not that you're learning a system that is right or true or correct. You're learning a way to converse with the holographic awareness of your body, to ask open-ended questions and be able to move out of rigid answers. And the less rigid you are in your responses, the more degrees of freedom you have in your awareness, the more healthy you become. Not in a sense of, well, if I eat this, then that's bad and I'll get sick and die, right? Because that's what the statistics tell me. And I like to say in matrix energetics, statistics are born to lie, sort of like Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. They're born to lie, And so there's a course that used to be taught, maybe still taught for the pharmaceutical wannabes, how to lie with statistics in medical school. Yeah. And everyone knows that the research that you do now is so tainted by money that if you don't get the result they want, it's not a double-blind study. We'll blind you if you don't get the result we want. Right? You'll never see things any other way again, because we'll implant a robot eye in the center of your head and program it to just see what we want you to see. That's pretty much true of everything. And Carrie's audience knows this very well. Your audience knows this very well, Maxine. It's not the way things are, but it's the way they appear to be. So what I wanted and what I developed with this, and it did come through me over a period of time, but it came very fast back in the 90s, was a way of having a conversation with the body. And then I guess it's kind of like Scientology in a way, although I've never been a Scientologist, but it's kind of like, ask this question, yep, I understand that. Ask this question, I understand that. Ask this question, what? Well, where the information breaks down, that's where the hologram of the body breaks down. And where the hologram breaks down, it can't find the answers within itself. So then what it does is it goes into a stress adaptation response. It's kind of like if two trains are coming at each other on the same track, they've got to change tracks at some point or there'll be a collision. That's how the nervous system works. So if you've got information, say you're a mother and you're cooking breakfast, and your child is playing outside, playing with a basketball, and the phone rings, and you just hear your husband was in a car crash. The food on the stove burns, and you hear a screeching noise followed by a crash outside. That's an overload. Mm-hmm. Well, we're all on overload, and deliberately on overload, because once you get to a point of overload, you're more easily programmed.
Yes.
You become a good citizen because you live in fear. Fear with your mortgage, fear with your job, fear with this, fear with that, fear of everything. And when you're in that fear mindset, you are essentially a machine, because your responses become extremely controllable and predictable. And there are open systems. There's a numbers theory, basically, and gaming theory, which looks at how in a given system something will respond given a set of variables or factors. Now, the reason I'm talking about that is this work was developed when I was reading chaos theory and fuzzy logic math systems and treating patients and working on gurus. So it was a very odd time, right? Information. But what I found is that what you're looking for is not a yes or no answer. You're looking for a gray or fuzzy zone. Now, this is the way the hologram is. If you take a hologram and you cut it in half and you shine a laser through both halves, you'll still be able to project a whole image from each one. If you cut it into fourths, same thing. Into sixteenths, same thing. You just get much beyond that, it starts to get fuzzy. So the way I look at the health issue, quote, is it's just fuzzy information that has lost its ability to identify itself, resonate with coherence, and then move into a solution that is beyond the semi-chaotic but more linear statistics of the mindset of disease and health. This is why I don't even like call myself a healer or work on disease, because again, these are labels and they're traps and they're boxes. So what this work allows you to do is get to a place, and you can muscle test this. You can learn to do this, or you can do it with what we call windows in matrix energetics, or you can start to just see it with your clairvoyance, because we teach that too, Melissa and I. But you get to the point where you find where the open ends in equation are, where the I don't knows or the maybes are. One of the most predictable ways to determine, well, one of the ways you predict a heart attack is a normal EKG. Why is this? Because if the EKG reads out absolutely static and normal, it's not changing, it's not adapting, it's not actually responding to its environment. That's when a single stress can kill you. You could literally get an EKG and walk out and drop dead on your cardiologist's doorstep. They found this out many years ago because they were put a Holter monitor on people, and they were going to do like the Terminal Man. I think somebody was reading Michael Crichton. They were going to put an injection system, a port injection system, on on these heart patients where they would get the medication automatically delivered when their heart would go out of rhythm. Well, they probably did kill people. They say they almost killed people. They probably did, where they almost killed people because the heart's out of rhythm all day long, because it responds to the dynamics of life. And this is true in German functional medicine as well. There is technology that I have, the VegaTest expert system, where you can, what's called a SEG. It's a segmental electric something. When you determine that an area of the body is not responding when you put a weak current through it, that area has become rigid in its response. That's most likely the area to develop disease. When you take medications, and I'm not anti-medication, I am anti-vaccine. My daughter got autism from the MMR vaccine 48 hours after it was given to her. So I'm one of those parents that say no to vaccines. But here's the thing. Anything you put into your body like that has a linear dynamic that's designed to do a certain thing in a certain way, which, by the way, it cannot possibly do, is going to make you more linear, more susceptible, more fragile, more programmed, and less able to find an answer from within yourself.
Amen.
This is the problem I have with so-called socialized medicine, or even socialized, people are all excited about Bernie Sanders. I'm not excited about Bernie Sanders. I'm excited about individual freedom, and I don't hear that. Same thing with, any election, any candidate, whatever. I'm not going to get political. But basically, if you think for yourself, you can't listen to anybody very much. I can't watch the news at all, because as soon as they open their mouth, they start lying, and we teach how to track that in the courses that we teach, Melissa and I. So any questions from that? That's a lot of information, and I was just kind of spewing forth here, but what do you think? What do you want to know?
Oh, my word. Well, I want 3 days to record you.
Okay.
I just think everything you're sharing, I love every word of it. I resonate to it. I broke it. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
You're going to be coming to Atlanta in another week or so, but you're going to be all over the world. And I want to encourage people to get to the Matrix Energetics website, because they can track you then, track where you are. If my audience is like me right now, they're right now on the Matrix Energetics website trying to find out when you're coming to their neighborhood, because this information that you have, Richard, is awesome. And we've got a few minutes left. If you could boil it down, what are the things that you really want people to know about this system that will do for them what Matrix Energetics did for me, which is transform my life?
Well, the first thing I want to say is May 21st to the 23rd, please come join Melissa Johnson and I for the biggest Matrix Energetic seminar ever. Not necessarily big as far as a lot of people, but the biggest conceptual experience. So we're going to teach level 1 and level 2. That's the foundation seminar in one day. Yeah. We're going to teach the best of the magic seminar, level 3, in one day, the next day. And we're going to teach the best of mastery in one day, the third day. And then we're going to probably die and be buried. But we've never done it before. We would like everyone to come. This is an experiment, so to speak. And this is the kind of experiment where it's not like the government experimenting on you or something. Yeah. You'll actually leave the better for it. So
where will it be? What's it?
May 21st to the 23rd at the Crown Plaza Hotel. Go to the Matrix Energetics website to sign up. iHeart is what's sponsoring. Matrix Energetics is not sponsoring this system. This system is not Matrix Energetics. However, it does have a field. So if you've been to Matrix Energetics or ever wondered about it, I have a person who's now a friend. She came to a seminar in Minneapolis, and she thought it was a Matrix Energetics seminar. And she was sitting on the front row, and she goes, "This doesn't look like anything I saw on the videos." We were muscle testing, and we were talking about reflexes, and we were doing all sorts of crazy stuff. There was a lot of information, and she's taken that seminar 9 times because she absolutely loves it, or uses it. She's it changed her life. And a lot of people, it changes their lives. We had a person who came to that seminar who came from Czechoslovakia with his wife, and he was in this kind of position. He'd had a stroke. And with this technology, we worked on him following the loops and the strategies the body will present. That's what I want you to know. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to be a medical doctor. You don't have to even know how to muscle test. Well, if you don't know how to do that, and it doesn't matter, I don't trust muscle testing. Can talk about that some other time.
Okay.
Well, I'll say this. Dr. John Diamond wrote a book called The Body Does Not Lie. It's a famous book, long time ago. He was a disciple or a student of Dr. George Goodhart, the famous chiropractor that developed applied kinesiology and started the whole thing with muscle testing. But here's the thing. The book that Dr. Diamond wrote and said the body doesn't lie, the bodies that he was testing were lying to him about not lying. So, you can't trust anything like that because you're trying to elicit a true or false response out of a muscle test, the computer, based upon your unconscious beliefs and programs. I don't think so.
No. Well, Richard, listen, I want to keep talking with you, but our time is just about up for this session. Will you come back? Can we do this again?
God. Okay, I'm back.
And that, friends, is the Richard Bartlett we know and love. There he is. Thank you so much, Richard, for being here today. I love you to pieces. And I hope that everybody has enjoyed just this little snippet that Richard has shared with us. Join me again next time when, once again, I introduce you to another marvelous mover and shaker. Until then, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And we know that's true. Adios for now.